It's just one of those books you finish and close it and go, "Ugh." And that would be the sound of your soul dying a little. Better than food, man. Buenos dias, bom dia, good morning everyone. Welcome to Better Than Food Book Reviews. I'm your host, Clifford Lee Sargent. Happy New Year. Great to see you all again. We're in for another one. It is my mission to help you find the greatest books you've ever read. This is the 5 best books I read in 2018. Wait, 19. 2019 was a strange year for me, and 2020, I hope, will be even stranger. Also, by the way, Hecate and Her Dogs, which I reviewed several years ago, is now going for something like up to $1,500. You know, that little copy from Pushkin, and I have it, and it's a good copy. It's not super good, it's not brand new, but it is a good copy, and I've seen it going from like 800 something to like 1,000 to like 1,500 or around those parts. So if anybody is interested in getting that, I love the book, but I am willing to part with it for a price that is lower than what I've mentioned. So if you want to work out a deal or something like that, then hit me up at booksarebetterthanfood@gmail.com and we can talk. It's an amazing book, and I will be sad to part with it, but you know, it's now a rare collector's item, so I'm lucky that I got it when I did. But if you collect rare books, or if you know somebody who does, then please send them my way. I'm willing to part with it. Also, check out this fancy new mug. This reveals itself as you pour hot liquid in it, and I actually complained, because I'm an idiot, when I got the mug, because it was all black and I could barely see the logo. And I was like, they fucked up the printing job, and I didn't know it was a Morphing Mug, so, you know, they're like, I'm paraphrasing, but it was like, sir, could you please put the liquid inside? And I was like, you know, it's like, no wonder it was named Morphing Mug. I figured I'd do random drawings for this mug with the coffee lottery. So if you donate $5 or more per video on Patreon to the show, then you will also have the chance of occasionally winning one of these awesome mugs. And if you just don't want to wait and you want to purchase one, I really appreciate it. And you can find the link in the description box below. Thanks a bunch. Also, I'm thinking about starting a private Discord channel for all of the patrons to jump on and discuss books they love and all sorts of other stuff. And that would be for the $1 or more patrons on Patreon, and you would get a code, you would get a link, and you can interact with all of the other patrons. And so you can all talk with each other, exchange book recommendations, talk about your feelings, fall in love, get married, you know, start families. Look, people have probably bonded over less, so if I can get everybody together, then I think that's awesome. So Discord channel, that might be coming soon. Thanks a bunch. All right, number 5. The second volume of Karl Ove Knausgård's My Struggle. And it's a tie with Pirandello's One, No One, and 100,000. But My Struggle first. So, Karl Ove Knausgård is a Norwegian author who began writing the story of his life a few years back, and happened to fill 6 volumes and find massive success with the project. His revealing and vulnerable and often poetic series My Struggle caused a huge sensation, not only in Scandinavia, but all over the world. Knausgård has an incredible ability to write about normal life, with an intensity that transforms the mundane into literature. That may be why he's often compared to Proust. But for modern audiences, I think Knausgård will be much more accessible than Proust. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. The accessibility of his work is part of the success of the project. It seems he's able to capture something that resonates across, you know, culture, across, you know, genders, across race, across everything, you know, across age. You know, he's got something that resonates with people in their 20s and also people in their 60s, it seems. Like everyone, men and women. Because the struggle is universal. I read the first about the death of his father a couple years back, and it took me several years to get to the next one. I mean, it didn't feel urgent, but it's terrific. I like it even more than the first. It's interesting sort of growing up with this series. A Man in Love was a painfully accurate depiction of inner male anxiety, coupled with profound meditations on life, death, and writing. I'm not sure what I can say about Knausgård that hasn't already been said. The book struck me as insightful, relatable, poignant, tragic, and beautiful. It's a large book, but totally worth the commitment. Better than food. And then yes, it was a tie with Pirandello. So Luigi Pirandello was an Italian author who wrote an amazing story about a man whose wife informs him one day that his nose is just slightly crooked. And this completely shatters his foundation of identity. And what he discovers is that he's not just one person, but many, many, many different people, depending on whom he's interacting with. An absurdist existential comedic tragedy, maybe? Yeah, we'll go with that. but it's one of the best things I read last year. Number 4, Disgrace by J.M Coetzee. Dear God, what an impressive execution of a novel. And so fucking depressing. J.M Coetzee is a South African author who actually studied, I believe, for a time here in Austin, Texas, although I think that was way back in the 60s. Disgrace is about a man, a literary professor, who has an affair with his student and gets wrapped up in a scandal, because it was pretty coercive, it seems, in a way that was bordering on, if not rape, and also because he doesn't apologize for it. He's removed from his academic position and visits his daughter on a rural farm in South Africa, where, spoiler, she's attacked and raped while he's staying with her, and totally incapable of helping her during the attack. I think they lock him in the bathroom or something. Absolutely dark and devastating, but a miracle of the craft, it seems. Coetzee is able to strip off the black and white pretense of things, no pun intended, and dive right into the heart of contradiction and ambiguity. Things are confusing and painful, and the world is a sad, mean fucking place, truly. But such a brutal story has never had a more beautiful form, a more respectful form. The writing is terrific, and Coetzee's sensibility is so sophisticated. Never have I read something so horrible and enjoyed myself so much. One of those books you just close and go, ugh. And that would be the sound of your soul dying a little. But it's okay, you can sacrifice a little bit of your soul for Coetzee. For sure. Number 3, Hard Rain Falling by Don Carpenter. Oh man, this book is so, oh yeah, it's a great book. This takes place around my hometown in the Pacific Northwest, Portland, Oregon. But a long time ago in smoky pool halls when it was a rough town. It takes place in other cities, but I think that Portland is sort of the base for it. It's a prison story, crime story, and love story in one of the most unusual ways that I've ever seen believably demonstrated in literary form. It's many things, but part of it is an interracial prison love story that seems perfectly believable and intimate without losing any of its raw, tough intensity, without losing any of its grittiness. It just makes it actually, you know, the love story just really adds just to kind of like the tragedy of everything. I mean, it just makes this man's life, it's just tragedy built on tragedy. Love story that happens between him and a friend, which is unexpected in prison, but then his friend dies, gets killed. Yeah, I'm just lost thinking about it. It's just so good. It's just like, how do you pull off a book that is so many different things? It's beautiful. Carpenter's writing has a solid feeling of authenticity that comes from lived experience, like I was talking about in the review. You've never read anything like it. It's an existential crime novel, an American beat story with heavy depth. Better, I think, than Kerouac, as far as I'm concerned. I liked On the Road quite a bit, but I think this is actually a better book. Because Kerouac's got style. There's tons of style in On the Road, and it's amazing, but this one really is heavy from what I remember. I suppose I shouldn't say one is better than the other. They're totally different, but yeah, I have to think about that. Definitely for fans of Dennis Johnson or Leonard Gardner or maybe Richard Brautigan, any of them, an awesome fucking book with a very unique style. Sadly, Don Carpenter never achieved large success with his novels. He developed illnesses and killed himself in 1995. This book is probably one of the best I've ever read. Certainly one of the best American novels, definitely. All right, Machado de Assis, Epitaph of a Small Winner. Wow. A man reveals his hypocrisies to the world after he dies. He didn't write it while he was alive. He wrote it after he died. How? Well, we don't know, but it's extraordinary, he tells us. But it's never revealed how. That's the first piece of great humor in this book, and there's plenty to follow. Like My Struggle, it's a confessional story of a man's life. However, since he's already dead, he's without hope or guilt. So, he doesn't hold back. He's like, this is how it was. And that's it. Because it's over. It's already done. He's dead. This is what you want. This is what you get. Machado de Assis is considered the greatest Brazilian author of all time. Harold Bloom said he was the supreme literary black author to date. And the fact that this was published in 1881 is fucking incredible. I enjoyed it as a cynical, caustic depiction of a bitterly honest upper-class man, aimed against Brazilian society because it reveals his atrocious behavior. I've heard it's a critique of the elite, the 1% of Brazil at the time, but it also stands as an amazing example of like modernism before modernism. I mean, they call it like the first modernist novel just because of the confessional quality, the breaking of the fourth wall, this black cynical humor brought in with it, the short chapters, all these things add to it. And so, yes, it is a critique, a societal critique, I believe. And at the same time, it's an amazing existential comedy. Machado was kind of an unsung Brazilian treasure. He's very, very, very well known over there, but he's sort of becoming more well known in the West now, finally, and getting his deserved credit as the creator of the modernist novel, essentially. Short chapters, existentialist themes, breaking the fourth wall. All of this was way ahead of its time. He was called the greatest writer ever produced in Latin America by Susan Sontag. The blend of darkness and humor in this book, and the fact that it's so ahead of its time, definitely made this one of the year's best reads. And since I'm spoiling everything, the title refers to the fact that the main character never had children. He didn't pass on the horrible condition of existence to somebody else. So in that sense, he was a small winner. So this is the epitaph of a small winner. You can see how cynical it is. I think they should change the title though. It's not as good as it could be. It doesn't accurately encompass everything that can be found in this book or its importance, in my opinion. It also goes under the posthumous memoirs of Brás Cubas, who's the name of the main character. But that sounds too academic or it's sterile. The posthumous memoirs, like, okay. Like, that doesn't tell you what it's about, and neither does Epitaph of a Small Winner. That just sounds weird. Because it's too clever and funny and brilliant to have titles like those that are just sort of off-putting, in my opinion. They just don't click, you know? It doesn't hit you, and it should. But that's just my opinion, Number 1, Javier Marias, A Heart So White. There you go. This is simply the one I enjoyed reading the most last year. Javier Marias is a Spanish author from Madrid. A Heart So White, which is named after a Shakespearean line, is an ambiguous, complex, sophisticated, emotional, beautiful, and tragic story about a man who realizes the dark secrets of his father. I really fucking loved this book. It's an addictive, elegant, sophisticated philosophical mystery. The novel starts with one of the most compelling scenes I can remember, which is a suicide of a woman in the bathroom at her family gathering. I think she shoots herself in the heart with a pistol. It's all about secrets. Maybe some things are better left unknown, maybe not. Maybe we have no choice but to find out. Maybe the knowledge will destroy everything, or maybe it will allow us to understand ourselves. Maybe it will give us answers. This was the first of Javier's that I read, and I can't wait to read more of him. Better than fucking food. And those were the 6 best things that I read in 2019. Unfortunately, it wasn't Faust, which easily took the longest. Dear God. Well, the first part was pretty damn good. But still, as far as what I enjoyed, definitely these 5 or 6. Better than food, all of them, definitely better than food. And now it's time for the coffee lottery. For those of you who are new, the Coffee Lottery is where I take all the names of the patrons on Patreon who donate $5 or more to the show. I place their names in this mason jar. I pull out a name for every review that I do, and I send whoever wins a hard copy of the book I'm reviewing, plus a bag of coffee roasted by yours truly. The coffee is delicious. I'm drinking a new Ethiopian. It's awesome. If you'd like to get in on that, you can head over to patreon.com/books are better than food and donate $5 or more per video, or click on the link in the description box below. If you donate $1 or more on Patreon, you can get access to the patron-only reviews and the newsletter that I send out every Friday. Better Than Friday, which is just 5 bullet points of things that I'm interested in at any given time. Could be books in the pipeline, films I've seen, music, articles, all kinds of stuff. And soon you shall get access as well to this private Discord channel. Thank you very much to all the patrons who have supported the show. You're making this possible, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. All right, here we go. Jake. Thanks very much, Jake. I really appreciate it. You're going to receive whatever book you like out of the 6 that I mentioned. I will purchase it and send it to you along with some delicious coffee. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed this. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please send this to somebody you know who loves literature and would really like these books. Hopefully they'll find something in here that they enjoy. And please always remember, this following year, we can make New Year's resolutions out of it, to bring a book wherever you go. Never know when you'll have 5 minutes to read, and then pretty soon you'll be finishing more books, and that'll be awesome. All right. And now the mug is dark now, so my coffee is cold, but still delicious. Onward into 2020. Have courage. Have no fear. All right, take care of yourselves. Have a great night. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Great to see you as always. Of course. Stay beautiful. Ciao.